Hey everyone, I'm James Lynch, and this is Early Look, the show where I take a look at an upcoming notable fight. And on today's edition, I'm going to be looking at the UFC 277 main card light heavyweight fight between Magomed Ankalaev and Anthony Smith. But before I give you my preview and give you my pick, make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell. That way you're helping me out. It's just 3 easy things you can do. Helps out the views on the video, helps out this channel. So many easy things you can do there, and it really helps me out. So if you could do that, that would be awesome. All right, let's get right into the preview. I'm not going to waste any time here. UFC 277 going down at the American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas. This fight is 3 rounds because it's on the main card, not 5 round, although this could easily be a main event. Kind of wish it was, but what are you going to do? Let's get right into this. Shall we start with we'll start with Anthony Smith first. Let's start with the Lionheart Anthony Smith here. As you can see there, 36-16 record. He's got 19 knockouts, 14 submissions, and 2 decisions. This guy is one of the most experienced fighters in the weight class. He's 33 years old. He's actually going to be 34 on July 26th. So just 4 days before this fight, he'll be 34, which is kind of interesting. He's 6'4". With a 76-inch reach. He's got a 1-inch height and 1-inch reach advantage in this fight, which is kind of crazy because Smith, of course, used to fight at middleweight. Smith is currently the number 5 ranked light heavyweight. He's a BJJ black belt. Smith has got performance of the night bonus 6 times for his wins over Elvis Mutapic, Mauricio Shogun Hua, Volkan Ozdemir, Alexander Gustafsson, Devin Clark, and most recently Ryan Spann. So this guy has been picking up a number of paychecks just for the way he fights. He's got fight of the night 1 time in his loss against Thiago Santos. He's got the 6th highest finishes per win percentage in UFC history. He's got 10 finishes, 11 wins. That's a 90.9% rate of finishes, which is very impressive. And also, I think people forget Smith fought for 2 pretty notable regional promotions. One I don't think exists anymore. Victory FC was the middleweight champion there, and also was the former CFFC middleweight champ. That promotion's still going strong. In fact, I think the time of recording this, they got a card going on tonight. So shout out to CFFC. Now, Anthony Smith has a ton of experience, like I mentioned there. He actually made his amateur MMA debut in October of 2007. He didn't make his MMA debut until February of 2008 and made his UFC debut, that's right, earlier than people think. It was actually in June of 2013. I think people forget that he had this one fight against Antonio Braganetto, which was back on UFC on Fuel. Remember that network? It was way long ago. That was in June of 2013. He ended up getting submitted in the first round. And that was all she wrote for the UFC because he obviously was signed to Strikeforce, had a couple fights there, was brought over to the UFC, lost to Roger Gracie and then lost to NATO. And then they're like, see you later. And then he ended up going to Victory FC where he fought Josh Neer at a catch weight of 175, which is crazy thinking back now. I mean, this guy's a guy that cuts to 205 now and he's fighting at 175 in Victory FC just back in 2013, which is kind of crazy. Anyways, we'll get to his resume in a second here. Anthony Smith's UFC record is 11-6. He's got 10 stoppage wins, like I mentioned. Very impressive. This guy does not like going to the judges' scorecards. Some notable wins here. I included them. They weren't really exactly super notable at the time, but Rashad Evans, former light heavyweight champion, good win. But again, Evans was, close to retirement, although I guess he's come out of retirement now. Shogun Hua, same sort of deal, up there in age, but still good win over the former light heavyweight champion. Volkan Ozdemir, this is a good win because he was losing and he came back and won the fight. Same thing with Alexander Gustafsson getting the win there. And that was right after the loss to John Jones, where Smith could have taken home the title, right? Like there was that illegal move by Jones. He could have said, hey, that's it for me and taken home the title, but he did the thing which I think a lot of people respect, which is he fought on. And it's funny, either way fans are going to be upset. I mean, he could have been the Aljamain Sterling in the light heavyweight division, but he chose to fight on and he ended up losing. But again, good effort against John Jones, went to the decision there. I mentioned the win over Gustafsson. He also has wins over Devin Clark, Jimmy Crute, and Ryan Spann. Those are all good wins, all finishes too. Very impressive there. Some notable losses that he's had. I didn't include the Antonio Brito Nega one. Cesar Ferreira, not going to count that either. He's not in the UFC. Thiago Santos, obviously notable loss. Santos has been a mainstay at light heavyweight for a while. Lost to John Jones. Notable loss. Glover Teixeira, Alexander Rakic. So, people who want to talk badly about Anthony Smith, look who he's fighting. I mean, this is the former light heavyweight champion, Glover Teixeira, a contender in Rakic. Like, there's just so many good fights that he's taken in his career. And, again, he's one of these guys that is fighting nobody but the best of the best. Or nothing but the best of the best, I should say. One thing to Anthony Smith's credit, this guy does not have any layoffs. He's been fighting consistently. Look at this. So since coming back to the UFC, 2 fights in 2016, 3 fights in 2017, 4 fights in 2018, 2 fights in 2019. Those are grappling fights, my bad. 2 fights in 2020, 3 fights in 2020, and then 2 fights already this year. This will be his third. So, 2 fights last year, and this will be his first fight this year. So again, Yeah, he's had some obviously he's been very active. And then obviously the Ryan Spann fight, going from Ryan Spann to this fight, pretty long layoff in this one. I did forget to calculate how much, but that's probably the longest layoff he's had in his career, going from 2021 in September till July now. Pretty long layoff there. Not sure why. Gonna try and get an interview with him before this fight. Kind of curious as to why it took so. Actually, no, I know why, because he had the injury. They were supposed to do the fight with Rakic, and then the rematch against Rakic, there was talk of that, and then he got injured. So that was the issue there. Okay, there we go. He's never had any major injuries or anything like that, and no USADA issues either. So Anthony Smith, again, very active. The only close fight that Anthony Smith has had, I mean, Jones was somewhat close. I don't think people felt like he won, but it wasn't like, robbery or anything. But it was the fight against, I actually went back and looked here. What was it? Lelco, Lellco. Or no, it was Leonardo. This fight. Okay, so the fight he had at UFC Fight Night 83, which was granted back in February of 2016. I did notice 9 media members scored the fight for Anthony Smith, 6 scored it a draw, and 2 scored it for his opponent. So that's the closest he's got to like a close, controversial fight. Other than that, he's either finishing opponents or he's getting finished himself or he's losing, right? So that's what Anthony Smith brings to the table. Again, they don't call him Lionheart for nothing. This guy is very tough to take out, just an absolute warrior. And one of my favorite fighters and a great analyst too. Anthony Smith is. Okay, let's get to Magomed Ankalaev, his opponent. As you can see there, Magomed Ankalaev is 17-1. He's got 8 knockouts, 0 submissions, and 8 decisions. He's 30 years old. He's 6'3" with a 75-inch reach. He's 4 years younger than Anthony Smith. He's the number 4 ranked light heavyweight. He's the former light heavyweight champion of World Fighting Championship Akhmat. That's the Kadyrov's promotion, his old promotion, I believe, before they merged. And he's also a master of sport in combat sambo, which, if you look that up, pretty impressive resume there. Now, Magomed Ankalaev made his, now granted, I mentioned the sambo stuff there. Obviously, he's got that background, but he actually made his amateur MMA debut in April of 2013. That was 2 months prior to Smith's first stint in the UFC. So it just goes to show you the level of experience there that Smith has over Ankalaev in MMA specifically, that Smith's first UFC stint was just 2 months after Magomed's amateur debut. So that's kind of interesting. Didn't make his MMA debut until April 2014, although you see here they have some amateur fights listed in 2015. We'll just assume that it's 2014 that he made his debut, because obviously it's on here on Tapology, but I've seen that a lot. Sometimes that happens with the Russian promotions. They have, amateur fights, pro fights, what's what. He's got an 8-1 UFC record. He actually lost his UFC debut to Paul Craig. He's got 4 stoppage wins in the octagon, which is very impressive. Notable wins. He's got 2 wins over Ion Cutelaba. He's got a win over Krylov. He's got a win over Volkan Ozdemir, which is a good win. And Thiago Santos as well in his last fight. So, all those guys are ranked. No like signature wins, but those are still some pretty good wins to have. And he's the only notable loss he's had is Paul Craig, like I mentioned. But who's not submitting Paul Craig these days? Or who's not getting submitted by Paul Craig, I should say. Very impressive there. Like Anthony Smith, no major layoffs here for Magomed Ankalaev. In fact, he fought just back in March, so he's already getting a nice turnaround here. No major injuries and no major, USADA issues, and also no close fights, right? Like, I mean, all these decision wins, they were decisive decisions. There was no controversy there. Let's get to the odds on this fight. As you can see, I've got a number of different books here. They have Magomed as about a 4-1, almost 5-1 favorite here. And I get it. When this fight was announced, I thought, okay, Ankalaev, been on a roll, hasn't lost. He's only lost the 1 fight in the octagon. A lot to like here about Magomed Ankalaev and what he brings to the table here. With that said, it's only a 3-round fight. I kind of wish this was 5 rounds just because of the implications here. Like if Ankalaev wins, he's got to be in line for a title shot. I know Yuri Prohaska coming out at the time of recording this saying he's going to give Glover that rematch. You would think with a win here, Ankalaev would get himself a title shot. So the fact that it's 3 rounds, I think is a little bit disappointing. They could have done this as a fight night, but hey, look, I guess they wanted to put it on pay-per-view. Whatever. Anyways, we're stuck with that. Couple things about this fight. Anthony Smith, at the time we're recording this, is not training at Factory X anymore. I heard he's actually been doing some training with Chris Weidman. Don't know the full details there. I just know that he's not at Factory X right now. And I've heard other fighters, Dustin Jacoby being one of them, confirming that Smith is not training with him. So we'll see if that pays off for this fight. New camp for him. Ankalaev, of course, training in Vegas. We've seen all the photos and stuff working with Sean Strickland and so many other guys. So he's coming from a good camp there too. And, one thing I'll point out about Ankalaev is, it seems like when he gets that step up, other than, I guess, Cutelaba, I shouldn't say because of Cutelaba. He's finished Cutelaba. 2 of his 4 finishes are against the same guy. The other one's against Dalcha, who's not even in the weight class anymore. So kind of one of the things you kind of notice here. Actually, sorry, he's got, did I add that up wrong? No, it's 4 stoppage wins. Yeah, Bershino. What I'm kind of getting at is that you look at the finishes that he's had, they're against guys that have been finished before. If you look at guys that he's fought that are kind of that step up, they're decision wins. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I think it just shows that, I don't think we'll see a finish here. It's a 3-round fight. I think I'd lean, I mean, I'll reveal my pick right now. Not going to keep you in too much suspense here, but I do like Magomed Ankalaev in this fight. I'm a believer in him. My thing with Ankalaev is I don't think he's doing anything in his fights that really makes me think that like he could be a guy to dethrone, say, Yuri Prohaska or Glover Teixeira or Jan Blachowicz or any of these guys. Like he's been racking up the win streak. Again, nice finishes over Kutalaba, but outside of that, we haven't seen like an X factor here. Like the Thiago Santos fight, I think there was an opportunity for him to maybe finish him, and he wasn't able to do it. And I think if anything, Santos I thought looked better than I think people expected, because Santos, I think we can all agree here, at his age and his injuries, he's on the decline right now. Still, good win to have. Santos has a win over Jan Blachowicz. He's always had a good standing in the weight class, so that's not bad either. But kind of what I'm getting at here is, I think Ankalaev is going to win this fight, but I think he's going to win by decision. And I talked about the fact that he's a 4-1 favorite. I would tend to lean more towards him by decision. We don't have odds on that yet, but I imagine it's going to be a lot better than -410. So I kind of lead that way. The other thing with Anthony Smith is this guy's tough to put away. Let's look at some of the stoppage losses he's had. He's just had the one stoppage loss at light heavyweight, and that was against Glover Teixeira in round 5. I mean, this is a 3-round fight. I highly doubt Ankalaev is going to go out there and give him a finish in round 5. Now, he was finished at middleweight in the second round there, but I think part of that was the weight cut. In fact, he's talked to me about that, but the fact that he cuts too much weight, and that I think played a role in the knockout loss there. But again, the only time he's been finished is by Glover, who's one of the best fighters in the world at 205, and he didn't finish him until the 5th round. Some referees might have called it a bit earlier, but still, just shows you how durable he is. That's kind of what I'm getting at here. So, I like Ankalaev a lot here. He's younger. I think he's faster. He's just a well-rounded guy, but doesn't really excel in anything. And I think with Smith, some of these wins that he's had, like Gustafsson and Volkan Ozdemir, these were comeback wins in the 3rd round, and against Gustafsson was in the 4th round. I think it's going to be too little too late with the fact this is this is a 5-round fight. I actually think Smith might have a shot here because, again, he's the comeback guy. I think with it being 3 rounds, I think Ankalaev's going to do enough to neutralize him and take him out. So, again, the pick is going to be Magomed Ankalaev by decision to get it done. I don't know if this will be enough to get a title shot. I think this is kind of like a no-win situation for Ankalaev because he's fighting a guy who's very tough to take out. If he goes out there and does finish Smith in the 1st round, then of course, that puts him right at the top as far as title implications, but I just don't think that happens here. I think he wins the decision. So my pick's going to be Magomed Ankalaev by decision over Anthony Smith, the halt Smith's winning streak. So let me know what you think in the comments. Do you like Ankalaev here? Do you agree on the odds? Should he be this much of a favorite? Do any of you like Anthony Smith? I would understand it, honestly, because this is a guy who's fought better opposition. He's a guy that's tough to take out, and he's a guy that surprises us every now and then. So I could see that happening too. Like I said, physically pretty similar. Ankalaev a little bit younger here, but Ankalaev, very impressive in his own right. So there you go. Follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at Lynch on Sports. Make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel, youtube.com/Lynch on Sports. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Any other fights you want me to preview in the coming weeks, let me know. More than happy to listen to your suggestions, and maybe we can fit one of those in there as far as the early look goes. I'm James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.